For this remix project, I decided to do a video on the basics of baseball, directed at an audience of amateur players or young kids just learning to play. First, let's go over what a baseball field looks like and the positions. Here's a picture of the outline of a regulation-sized baseball field. It shows all of the bases in the pitching mound and the distances between these objects. Next, we see a field laid out with all of the positions and their corresponding numbers. The numbers are important for when keeping score in the scorebook, so instead of having to write out the whole position, you can just write a number. Now for some of the basic rules. Each batter is allowed 3 strikes before they are called out. A strike happens when either a player swings and misses, foul tips a ball, or lets a ball go by that the umpire calls a strike. If a player receives 4 balls or pitches that were not in the strike zone and they did not swing at it, then they are allowed to go to first base. The strike zone is typically from the letters on the front of the jersey to the knees of the batter. If a batter hits the ball and the defending team throws the ball to first base before the runner gets there, the batter is out. If the batter hits the ball in the air and the defending team catches it, the batter is also out. Every time a runner goes around all of the bases and touches home without being tagged, the offensive team gets a run. Each half inning has 3 outs. After the defending team records 3 outs, it becomes their turn to bat. A typical game lasts 9 innings, and whichever team has more runs at the end of the game. Now let's take a look at the basics of actually playing the game. The 2 main things that most baseball players practice is hitting and fielding. However, the pitcher, or the one who throws the ball to the catcher to try and get the batter out, is a unique position. They usually don't bat, and their sole focus is to get the batters out by not letting him hit their pitches. First, let's take a look at pitching techniques. Here are several different grips that a pitcher might use when pitching. The first one shown is the most common, the 4-seam fastball. This is the most common pitch in the game and typically goes very straight with the most velocity of any pitch. The next pitch is called the 2-seam fastball. This pitch also has a good amount of velocity, but the way the pitcher grips the ball causes it to tail slightly, throwing the hitter off just a little bit. Third is the changeup. This pitch is much slower than either of the fastballs and usually has a dropping motion. Changeups are commonly used when the hitter is expecting a fastball. The change of speed can throw the hitter's timing off, causing a swing and miss. Fourth is my personal favorite, the curveball. This pitch has the most movement of any pitch and is generally thrown a lot slower than any other pitch. The ball moves in a right to left motion if the pitcher is a right-handed thrower, and vice versa for lefties. Curveballs are usually thrown when the batter has 2 strikes and the pitcher is trying to get a swing and miss from the batter. Last but not least is a very uncommon pitch, but potentially the most unhittable pitch in baseball, the knuckleball. Very few pitchers have been able to master the knuckleball because of its unique grip shown in the picture. The knuckleball's movement is very unpredictable because it has no spin at all, causing a very random motion every time the pitcher throws it. Those who have mastered the knuckleball have had a very successful career at a high level of baseball. The second part of pitching is also a very important part, the mechanics and body movements the pitcher does before he actually throws the ball. These movements can greatly increase a pitcher's velocity and accuracy if done correctly. First, as shown, the pitcher gathers a sign from the catcher on what pitch to throw. He then comes to a complete stop on top of the mound. Failure to do so will result in a balk, a penalty which allows all runners to move up a base. The pitcher then lifts his legs as high as he can to generate power. As the pitcher reaches the peak of his leg kick, he begins to push off with his back leg, while extending his arm far behind his body and explodes towards home plate. Right after the pitcher's foot touches the ground, he releases the ball while looking at his target, the catcher. After the ball is released, the pitcher swings his back leg over for a follow-through, giving the pitch its maximum velocity. These are the basic pitching motions for most pitchers, although some have very unique and quirky motions. Now I'm going to tell you the 2 basic ways a defender who is not a pitcher gets the batter out. First is a ground ball. When the batter hits the ball on the ground, it is the infielder's job to field it and throw it to the appropriate bag to get the runner out. The fielder crouches in a low stance with his glove out in front of him. His hand without the glove comes on top of the ball after it enters the glove to ensure the ball does not pop out. After the ball is fielded, the defender throws the ball to a base to get a runner or batter out. Other than fielding grounders, a common hit by a batter is a pop-up. These are usually fielded by outfielders. The outfielder has to get under the pop-up and catch the ball with 2 hands, similar to fielding a grounder where the hand without a glove closes on top of the ball to ensure the ball does not pop out. So far we've discussed the defensive part of baseball. Now let's look at the offensive side. Batting is considered one of the hardest things to do in any sport in the world. The batter has very little time to react to the ball, deciding whether to swing or not, and if he does swing, having the hand-eye coordination to put the bat where the ball is. The first step of hitting is called the load, or when the batter pulls his hands back and shifts his weight to his back foot. Some batters choose to have a huge front leg kick while they are shifting their weight, while others have none at all. This is a personal preference and many hitters do different things. The next step is to bring your hands inside, leading with the bottom of the bat and to extend the backside arm towards the ball. When contact is made, the hitter continues to swing the bat around his shoulders. While all this is going on, the hitter has to keep his eyes focused on the ball or his chances of making contact decrease. These are the basics of baseball, and perfecting these skills are extremely difficult. The rules may seem complicated, but they come easy the more you play. The offensive and defensive skills I discuss are necessary to succeed, and with practice they will come.